U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis left arrives at the Joint Security Area JSA on the Demilitarized Zone (DMZ) in the border village of Panmunjom in Paju, South Korea on Friday. Photo credit AP. Morin. U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis accused North Korea on Friday of building a nuclear arsenal to threaten others with catastrophe and said the Trump administration remains committed to compelling the North to accept complete nuclear disarmament. Calling the North a threat to global order, Mr. Mattis stood inside the demilitarized zone that separates the two Koreas and pledged solidarity with the South. "We stand shoulder to shoulder with you and the Korean people in confronting the threats posed by the Kim Jong-un regime," Mr. Mattis said as South Korean Defense Minister Song Young-moo looked on. Mr. Mattis called the North an oppressive regime that shackles its people, denying their freedom, their welfare and their human dignity in pursuit of nuclear weapons and their means of delivery in order to threaten others with catastrophe. Making time to visit a South Korean military observation post to peer into the North, Mr. Mattis was also briefed on conditions along the border created after a truce halted the Korean War in 1953. Mr. Mattis arrived in South Korea earlier Friday to meet with the nation's top defense officials and American military commanders on the front line in countering North Korea's nuclear weapons program. Mr. Mattis is emphasizing the Trump administration's push for a diplomatic solution to the problem. But he also has said the U.S. is prepared to take military action if the North does not halt its development of missiles that could strike the entirety of the United States, potentially with a nuclear warhead. On his second trip as defense secretary to the U.S. ally, Mr. Mattis will meet with South Korean officials as part of an annual consultation on defense issues on the Korean Peninsula. He'll be joined in Seoul by the chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, Gen. Joseph Dunford. President Donald Trump is scheduled to visit the city next month. Two other developments Thursday showed the U.S. intention to continue building diplomatic and economic pressure on Pyongyang. The Trump administration imposed sanctions on 10 North Korean officials and organizations over human rights abuses and censorship, including a diplomat in China accused of forcing North Korean asylum seekers home. Meanwhile, a rare military exercise involving 3 of the U.S. Navy's aircraft carrier strike groups was being planned for next month in the Asia-Pacific, a U.S. official said. The likely exercise would happen around the time that Trump travels to the region. Mr. Trump entered office declaring his commitment to solving the North Korea problem, asserting that he would succeed where his predecessors had failed. His administration has sought to increase pressure on Pyongyang through UN Security Council sanctions and other diplomatic efforts, but the North hasn't budged from its goal of building a full-fledged nuclear arsenal, including missiles capable of striking the U.S. mainland. Please wait while comments are loading.